Bungie shares new details about Destiny 2 Star Wars-inspired Renegades expansion, says it's not a standalone bottle episode. So from Zuhaad right here, with the Edge of Fate now behind us and the Fate Saga well underway, Destiny 2 players are already looking ahead to the second expansion of the year. Renegades launching on December the 2nd, 2025. It's Bungie's first ever fully licensed collaboration with Lucasfilm's Star Wars franchise. And based on early teasers, it's packed with lightsabers, blaster-style weapons, and all the sci-fi desert vibes you'd expect from a Star Wars story. Naturally, some fans were worried that this would be just a Star Wars-sized story and a Destiny wrapper, but Bungie's repeatedly clarified that Renegades isn't just a Star Wars-themed side story. It's a key part of the Fate Saga that started with Edge of Fate. Now we've gotten even more insight into what this expansion is really about. Speaking in an interview with GameSpot, Destiny 2 narrative director Alison Lührs explained that Renegades picks up directly where the Edge of Fate left off. Renegade picks up where Edge of Fate left off. Actually, it is a direct continuation of the Fate Saga. We made the deliberate choice not to make this a bottle episode or a one-off, and instead knew our players would engage more deeply if we made Renegades an inherent part of the broader story, she said. I will say on that front, that means the pacing should be a lot better, I would assume. Because Edge of Fate, we know we're going to get the Fate Saga, which is supposed to be over a 2-year time frame. But we're going to be getting these big narrative points twice a year. Versus what we've been getting, which is like, you'll get the one big annual expansion, and then you would have like filler content for the seasons. And then the annual expansion after that would drop. It would move the narrative forward. Now, we'll be dealing with the ramification of 3's death and what the other 9 are doing in response. We already know that how the Fate Saga ends. When we set out to plan the next saga, we knew we wanted to set ourselves up for storytelling success by having a goal to work toward. We treat the story structure like a skeleton. We know the basics, but how we achieve them is flexible and adaptable. That means we can seed elements now that will pay off at the very end, and as a result, we've got a story that feels rich while allowing us as creators flexibility as we go. This reinforces Bungie's plan to keep the Fate Saga tightly connected across expansions. Unlike previous years where seasonal stories sometimes drifted into side plots, Lührs says the team already knows how the entire saga ends, and Renegades is one of the core chapters that gets us there. That's good. That's good. I mean, yeah. I will say, I remember one time years ago, I don't know where I was, but an author was essentially talking about how he writes his book or writes books. And surprising, it says you write the ending first and then you work your way up to the ending. Isn't that crazy? Like, you do your outline, but you fully flesh out the ending first, write that completely out, and then you do the rest of the story. I'm just tired of Maya. She's so boring and her motive is kind of dumb. Yeah, her motive is, imagine trying to find the perfect woman. That is Maya's quest. And in her mind, she says, there's a version of Kiyomi out there that is perfect. And every version of Kiyomi she comes across that is not perfect, she murders. But she does so in a loving way, because those Kiyomis should not exist in the world that her perfect Kiyomi would exist. You see what I'm saying? And I gotta respect the grind. You know what I mean? I kind of respect it. She wants the best. She wants the best for herself, right? And she's not gonna settle for less. You know, she knows what she wants. She wants that tier 5 Kiyomi. Now, beyond this interview, in-game lore has already been dropping hints about Renegades. A new lore book, Treacherous Contacts, strongly hints that we'll be heading to Mars, specifically a region called Tharsis, to deal with the mysterious new Cabal faction. These Cabal aren't using Red Legion leftovers. They're being supplied with powerful new weapons and even managed to ambush Xur, stealing exotic guns like bad juju and malfeasance. Damn, Xur! You lost those guns? We need to hold Xur more accountable. Xur got a bodyguard? I had no idea this actually happened. Xur he pulled that GTA on him and took his shit. Damn. Well, it makes sense we're going back to Mars. I mean, just look at the aesthetic of Mars, right? And then, you know, Renegades and Star Wars and all that stuff. It just makes a lot of sense. Xur's stolen flight logs reference the terms Dominion and Eternity, repeated exactly 9 times. Some players believe this could be a coded attempt to reach out to the 9. I don't know why, but the thought of just like Xur getting his shit kicked in by a bunch of Cabal and having all his loot stolen while trying to text Dominion and Eternity to an entity that probably never even replied back. I don't know. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Took his lunch money and everything. There's also speculation that we could see characters like Shin Malphur involved in some form. That would be dope. We'll know more soon. Bungie's full Renegade reveal happens tomorrow, September the 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific, just before the launch of Ash and Iron updates. What do you think Renegades is really about? Do you think we'll finally get to explore Mars again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, I definitely think we're going back to Mars. I mean, no doubt. I mean, just look at it. And so we will be back on Mars. It's going to be very Star Wars inspired. Shem Malphur would be dope. Like if there's some way to tie that all in, that would be dope. And so take like, you know, some Mandalorian outlaw approach to this expansion. Look, Edge of Fate, there's been a lot of things from a content perspective that really fail. Narratively, though, it's actually pretty good. I enjoyed the narrative. And I think the narrative here might be pretty solid. I'm looking forward to seeing what they flesh out in this one. With that being said, we're going back to Mars. I mean, we'll see, but I don't believe it's going to be the full scope of Mars that we had back in D1. Again, and we're going to see this from the Plaguelands too. Everything Bungie's ever brought back to us has been almost cut in half or sections of it cut out. You know what I mean? Like a very consolidated version of that area, of that destination. Does anyone here like Mars? But the best memories I have on Mars is farming Relic Iron. You know what I'm saying? Relic Iron, and there was a Glimmer farm on Mars for ND1. Dreadnought sucked ass. I actually thought the Dreadnought was pretty good, though. Yes, it was toned down a bit, but it had a lot of secrets. I really liked how they situated their activities in it. Like if I had to compare Kepler to the Dreadnought back in Heresy, I've spent way more time in the Dreadnought than I ever did in, or ever have in Kepler. Secrets? Oh, drop top. Yeah. Secrets inside of the Dreadnought? Absolutely. You don't remember from the discovery of from Barrow Dyad's quest line to the stuff that we were doing at the end of the season? The little runes everywhere and stuff? Dude, guys, Heresy and Dreadnought was really good. The worst part of Heresy was that Oryx, spoiler, got killed off again. And he was the greatest, man. Imagine if you hadn't killed Oryx off and kept him. And like, I don't know, he joined us and taught us how to take and shit. You know what I mean? Oryx would, man, you know how much he gassed us up? You know how much Oryx would gas us up? He'd be like, hey, somebody's trying to come in here and take your shit. Remember, you the guy that f***ed me up. You remember that? Oryx would be like, you the guy that slayed me. Don't let this other guy come in here and take your shit. You gonna have to become the Taken King. God, dog it, man. He was the greatest hype man. And then at the very end, he was like, you can't cage me, baby. You can't cage me. Kill me now. We'll see. I hope Renegades pops, guys. We'll know more tomorrow.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.